Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Well, good morning, everyone. How are you? Good? Okay. Right after the break, there is some food in the stomach, so we're going to try to keep you awake. Well, thank you very much for this opportunity. It is a real honor to be here and to share with you some of the thoughts that we have within Inspectorio. For probably some of you, that is the first time that you heard about our company. Later, I'm going to be able to share more about, where are the beginnings. But mostly we believe in collaboration. We believe on a data-driven quality approach. And we believe definitely that there is a lot of things to do on, bringing or taking away, this manual process of a digital camera, pen and paper on quality, sustainability monitoring, audit fatigues, and many other things that we are facing right now in the industry. So when we talk about, the title of this presentation is that everybody's talking about the last mile. We heard about Amazon, but very few are starting, presenting something about what is the first mile. And my first invitation that I would really want to do with you is that we need to talk about this concept, what we are doing on the first mile. So in our personal lives and of course in our corporations, we are trying, all of us, we're trying to win a race. Okay, it could be against us, it could be against, of course, our competitors. I mean, always, every single day we wake up and we are in a race. So when we talk about the speed and we talk about race, I mean, it's very hard not to think about this guy, Usain Bolt. I don't know if you have seen, but I'm going to share with you a short video. Actually, it's a really fast video for what happened 10 years ago. If we talk about the
Chambers
speed
in 1, Burns in 2, Bailey in 3, Bolt, the Olympic champion and world record holder in 4, Gay, the defending champion in 5, Powell, the fast man who usually fails to deliver in 6, Patton in 7, Thompson in lane 8. Away first time, good start from Bolt. Bolt leading a moment and going away. Gay trying to go with him and he's being dragged through to second place, but he's going to win it by 2 meters. 9.58. The world record's gone. That's more like it.
The world record is still there. But you know what? Everybody is, thinking that it was how he finished the race. Actually, this is not exactly the picture from that race. But if you just go and you review what is happening during the race, he was actually already winning the race in the first 40 meters. And there's even a documentary in Netflix when you can just go and see some of his story. And there is in YouTube also some interviews to the coach. And when they were training for this, they were not actually focused on how he's going to finish the race. Actually, what they were trying to focus on all the training and all the, muscle developments and the area where they thought that definitely was the most critical area to win this race and to break the world record was how he started the race. So when we talk about races, I mean, many people talk about, how we finish the race. But this exactly happens, on the production chain. The races are winning on how we start it, because we cannot even talk about the last mile if we have problems in the first mile. So here is the last mile, but who is talking about how we are starting, the production chain? So when we talk about production chain and supply chain, I mean, there are many graphics. This is one of the most simple. But we talk about raw materials, we talk about, the suppliers and who are producing our goods. We talk about also, the manufacturing process, the distribution, and customers. But if you even see, and if you go to different conferences, even, the biggest exhibition in the world, I mean, 97% of the innovations are in, distribution, customers. I mean, of course, there's some innovation in the manufacturing process, but very few innovation on the first step of this race. So for us, especially for the background that the founders of Inspectorio had, we have been focused on the production chain or how we started doing responsible sourcing and quality inspections for more than 16 years. And let me tell you something, it's the most unsexy place to be. because everybody's innovating in any other part of the production chain. But when we talk about, quality inspections and sustainability monitoring, I mean, there are very few in the market. But actually, that for us is a huge opportunity, because once again, talking about Usain and Bolt, everybody is, thinking on how they can run fast, how they can finish faster, but very few are talking on how you can start the race faster in a better way. So, where is the first mile? Where is that start, for us? Is actually here at the manufacturing facility. So just imagine, all the different things that we can bring to the manufacturing facility. What are the innovations that we can bring to this part? I mean, we just watched an incredible presentation, about the different opportunities and different innovations that are there. But when we talk about the first mile, these are some areas, where you can improve. And actually, it could be kind of a checklist for you just to do a brainstorm on what else we can do in order to be more efficient, more transparent on this first mile. So we can talk about raw materials and, of course, the collaboration and the visibility of the different producers of your raw materials, material inspection, color verification, the receiving inspection of the materials, the pre-production meeting, inline production, finishing packaging, final inspection, container loaders inspections, and of course, more and more people are talking about sustainability monitoring. But you know what? In this world that right now is, going at an incredible speed, and if you just go and you do some research about, what are the different technologies that are out there in the market and what's going to happen in the following months, the following years, the following 5 years. Right now we're talking that in the next, 2 years or the less than 2 years. We're talking about nanoscale 3D printing. We're talking about flying autonomous vehicles. In the next 2 to 5 years, we're talking about augmented intelligence. So that's what we are seeing, and that's where is there available. But let me tell you something. This is the reality of quality inspections. Okay? It's a digital camera, pen, and paper process. So even though, the technologies are there, what is happening right now in the market is this. So, definitely there are many ideas in the market. There are definitely, a lot of invention in the market. But the problem is that very few of us have been able to just transform that or those inventions into innovation. And the innovation occurs, when somebody is willing to pay for that, when somebody is willing to adapt this invention into the process to transform, something. And in this case, it could be definitely the first mile of your brand or retailer, or if you are a vendor, or even if you're a factory, more of that is your core. So this is what we have been facing as Inspectorio. We started with a responsible sourcing agency 16 years ago. We had, a third-party inspection company. We ended up having something like 200 inspectors all around the world, but especially Asia. But you know what? We didn't know where they were. We didn't know if the picture was real or not. We didn't know, whether they follow exactly the process. And the same happened when we talk about environmental compliance and all these audits for social. What you're going to be receiving is probably an Excel file. And then on that Excel file, you just need to fulfill, and then it's going to come the next round, and it's going to ask you exactly the same Excel file. So there's not only a problem about the lack of technology, but it's also a problem of the lack of collaboration. So it's incredible, how many hours we're spending over there, especially if you're a vendor and a factory, trying to just fulfill these kind of things because, there's not a common language. There is not a way that we can communicate, So, and this is an inspector, also doing, or auditor doing an audit. It's literally this. And if you go to Google, just put inspections or audits, and these are the pictures that are going to appear. This is something that needs to change. We are in 2020. There is only less than 90 days to start a new decade, and we are still using these tools. And what is funny is that I've been in the industry for several years, and several years ago when we were talking especially about sustainability monitoring, environmental, all the transparency commitments, everybody was talking about 2020. And right now, everybody's talking about 2025. Because, there is a lot of areas to be improved. So going into, for some of you that needs a concept about what the first mile is, there are very few authors there that are talking about this, but this concept is very simple and I like it. And it says that the first mile is that time in any company's supply chain process where you can set a solid foundation to work with suppliers, engage services, and also order materials. So on that line, there are definitely different areas where we can just work. And one of the invitations that I am here to do is that hopefully when you go back to your offices, you can do kind of a first mile challenge, okay? Just get all together with your team and say, okay, how we can start talking about first mile? Actually, the concept is really useful if you want to talk with your managing directors or even your CEOs. And says, okay, how we can bring technology to, increase quality, maximize margins, managing in a better way the inventory, and also improve the visibility. So when we go into that, it's very hard to choose to go into the right way if we don't realize what is the moment of the history that we are living as brands, retailers, vendors, and factories in the apparel industry. So there are also many authors that talks about, different movements, but some of them, have some coincidence about that. In 1989, we enter into more this kind of transactional stage. It is an inspection-driven, pre-production, during production, final random, the distribution center inspections. Funny thing is that I've been, in relationships with different brands and retailers in Latin America, United States, here in Europe, of course, in Asia, Africa, a few of them. But even though we're in 2020, there are people that are still there, transactional stage. Because they are going from one supplier to another, what the previous speaker was mentioning, going to one country to another. So it's very hard, to know who is who in the production chain. Because actually, what you know about that vendor and factory is what they said about in the webpage that they create. You don't know a common language. You don't have a way to collaborate, to just know who is who in the production chain. Or if you don't want to share that information with other brands and retailers, at least to have an objective way to just qualify and know which is your best factory, which is the worst factory, or have, real-time analytics about quality and sustainability to just go to your factory and say, hey, based on the data from an inspection that probably finished 30 seconds ago, here is your ranking. Here are the areas of improvement. Here are the corrective action and preventive action plan. This is what you said, and this is what you have done. Very few has that kind of approach because the data is all around. The second stage is the relationship stage. So in this, we're moving more for a quality control to a quality assurance. We're going more into in the production line. We are just starting seeing this as part of what we call an ecosystem. So concepts of quality ecosystem, they're pretty new for some brands and retailers. And then, we're getting into this new stage that is also an invitation that I'm here to make, is that we need to see our factories, our vendors, as partners. And in order to be able to get into this partnership, we need to be able to communicate with them, English is not my language. I speak Spanish. But without English, I cannot be here talking with you. The same happened with brands and retailers. What kind of language do you have? What kind of operating system do you have in order to have real data, analytics in real time, and to actually realize who is who, and to make better business decisions? So this is let me explain you with this chart some of the pain points that we have been seeing on the apparel industry. What is happening, talking about quality, but you can also apply this for sustainability monitoring or any type of audit that you want to do, is that we have, the different factories that are producing the goods. Probably, definitely they are producing and they're executing quality inspections, but the thing is that probably is in a piece of paper. From most of us that has been in a factory in Bangladesh, China, and so on, those piece of papers, with all that, you know what I mean. And then, so data is in a piece of paper. Then you have the vendors, okay? And the vendors probably they have a digital camera pen and paper, I would say, or probably an Excel file. And the data is in the Excel file. Then we have the third-party inspection companies, even multi-billion-dollar companies that are out there in the market. And some of them are still using digital camera, pen, and paper. Some of them, they have some basic digitization tools that you can just see some data there. And then, of course, you have your own team of inspectors, and I don't know what is the system that you are using. Independent of the system, what is the main problem in the industry is that everybody is using different standards, and everybody, is having data in different places. Or some of them, they don't even have data. Or the data that you have, it is in a PDF. So when you are the managing director or you are the CEO and you really want to have a real-time analytics about your quality or sustainability monitoring, you need to say, okay, let's meet in 3 days. And then you have to run back to your computer and trying to download all the PDF and then trying to create Excel. And then at the end, you just finish doing something manually. There is a lot of, I've seen some brands and retailers that they have 2 or 3 people working only to trying to get some data from the different sources. And some of them that they don't even have information from the factories. So on that line, what we have been able to do in Inspectorio with several brands and retailers in the world is trying to create an operating system, a common language, where you, the brand and retailer, are in the center of this, and then you define the workflows, and then you can empower, and this is a key concept on how we see this Industry 4.0 in quality, empower your factory to perform self-inspection, empower your vendor, empower your third-party inspection company, empower your team of inspectors. Since everybody is using the same operating system, and everybody is using a phone that you already have, an Android or iOS, to perform an inspection, all the data goes in real time into the cloud. You just validate that the data is real. You know where that picture was taken. And then you have real-time information about what's going on. Look, in this phone, we have nowadays more memory, more speed, more communication capabilities than Ronald Reagan, President of the United States, in 1984. And with an Android phone with $100, that you can buy, or some of the inspectors or normal people have out there, you can have everything that you can in order to get your organization into a different level. You don't need to buy another hardware. It's just a matter of have the willingness to transform quality and sustainability. Okay, so we believe that the industry needs to go into the next step. Everybody's talking about transparency. Everybody is talking about data. Everybody is talking about, the possibility to get into the next level. But if we don't have the possibility to collaborate, it's going to be really, really hard. I know that brands and retailers are very jealous about information and data, but we believe on silent collaboration. We believe on how we can get all that data and we can bring it into algorithms and machine learning capabilities to being able to give you also information for you to compare with other players in the market and know how bad or how good you are performing against others out there. So we believe in the power of collaboration. So it could be a collaboration around your private ecosystem. It could be a collaboration in the whole industry. But right now, we are making this happen. And this is happening right now in the world. So everybody talks about digitization. We believe that digitization is not enough. Digitization should be a commodity in 2020. It's not how you can take a picture. It's not how you can, digitalize something. It's what you do with the data. What is that data bringing to you? What better business decision you're making with that data, and also with the data that is bringing from other players in the market? We believe that we, as an industry, we can make this an intelligent system. So it doesn't matter if you are a brand or retailer, a factory, a third-party inspection company, or a vendor. If you are using the same operating system through data, silent collaboration, you can turn in data into actionable insights and optimization, because that's the name of the game at the end of the day. So, trying to finish, there are many areas where we can improve. But definitely, if we decide to go into this first mile approach, we can increase on-time deliveries, reduce inventory costs with that data-driven approach. work with the best, because we're going to know who is who, boost the technology return on investment, because right now we're kind of blind on that. Of course, save time, improve visibility, define best practices, and so on. These are, for example, just two devices that we're having in Inspectorio. It's not about only quality and sustainability, it's also what other inventions you can bring into the market to transform these into innovations. So we just released, for example, this color verification device that you can just plug it into your phone. So you avoid, to just cut the piece and then go send somebody there and then go to the lab and then come back and make sure if the fabric that showed you at the beginning of the process was exactly the same that they used when they produced the good. I mean, all that information, this digital signature of the color and the fabric could be in the cloud. And then the inspector can just have that information as part of the workflow when he or she is performing inspection with the phone. Also, the digital or smart tape. I mean, you don't need to just measure and then type, measure and then type. I mean, you can have it with a Bluetooth connectivity with the phone, and then you just click the button, and all that information goes into the phone. So that is also a matter of simple inventions transforming into innovation that are bringing more efficiency and productivity into a process that has been mandated by manual procedures. So what I believe, and we believe in Inspectorio, and I just mentioned, is that you are not alone in this process. You are part of a network. So if you are a brand or retailer that are using Inspectorio, whatever other operating system, you need to be able to communicate and to connect with other brands and retailers. Because at the end of the day, you are part of a network. If you have a social network as Facebook, and you have a professional network as LinkedIn, why you cannot have a production network as Inspectorio? Because if you don't have a LinkedIn profile, you are losing a lot of opportunities, or probably you have something to hide. The same will happen, and is happening right now, with the new production chain. So I just want to leave you with, like a to-do list. If you really want to move into this new approach of quality and sustainability monitoring, first of all, clean your data to improve visibility. Try, to at least use a common language or some common standards around your ecosystem. Also, trying to automate the supplier collaboration that you have. Doesn't matter the tool that you use, but try to do it. And first and last, try to consider a technology partner, because there are some out there, that can make it happen. So I start this presentation talking about Usain Bolt, okay? And we talk about the speed, and we talk about the first mile. But I don't know if this picture looks familiar to some of you. Some of you are some triathlonists here, no? Marathonists, half marathon, 10K. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so this is the start line, from an Ironman. An Ironman, for the people that are not familiar, is like 3.8 kilometers on the open sea or lake. And then you just take the bike for 180 kilometers. And then, when you just went to the water and then you just did, the bike, you just put the shoes and you say, beautiful, I'm done. I only have to run the marathon, okay? And that's me crossing my second Ironman some years ago when I was teen. But let me tell you something. When I started training for this, my first training was walking 1 kilometer, running half kilometer, and then 40 ups. And I couldn't even laugh for 3 days because of the pain in my stomach, okay? The same happened with you when you decide to adapt a new technology. I mean, it's gonna be hard, it's gonna be painful. People are gonna believe that you are crazy. But let me tell you something, there is not only speed. This is an endurance race. So if you really want to change quality, you really want to change sustainability, probably some of the concepts, you can see, no, that's gonna be impossible. No, believe me, it's possible. And people are already doing this. I invite you, to get into this endurance race, to embrace technology as part of your corporation. Thank you very much.